Right. Today on Packaging Unboxed, we got Adam Peak, People of Packaging Podcast. We got me, Packaging Unboxed, and we've got Lauren Hodges, who's the creative director at Chobani. We're going to go over all the packaging design that they've done recently for the latest Halloween packaging wrap. They've got QR codes, they've got AR, they've got all sorts of fun stuff happening, and she is helping push this brand in a direction that it has not gone. And I mean, who doesn't love Chobani Flips? Those things are delicious. So let's just jump right in and we'll check it out. Let me know what you think. And what's your favorite flavor of Flip? I love those key lime pie ones. Those things are delicious. All right, you let me know what you like. Let's get to the show.
So Evelio and I are joined by Lauren Hodges. Lauren is the creative director. Are you the creative director or are you a creative director? This is very important, Lauren.
It is very important. I am a creative director.
Okay.
Yeah.
You direct things creatively over at Chobani. You're located, you mentioned, in the sixth borough, Jersey City. Is this correct? Is that accurate?
I live in Jersey City, which is right across the river from New York City. And we joke that it's the sixth borough because it's so close.
Got it. Evelio and I are out here on the west. So it's like, we don't know.
Yeah, I grew up in Queens. So we got that.
Are you offended when I say Jersey City?
When you include yourself in New York? No, not at all.
Okay, first of all, Lauren, I've got a question for Evelio. I feel like this is the third place I've heard you've grown up in. Because
you can interview me separately. Let's talk about Lauren.
I grew up here. And now you're like, no, I grew up in Queens. And I'm like, I feel like I got a Wikipedia fact check Evelio here. But that's another conversation. I'm glad
100%.
Glad you grew up in Queens. Lauren, welcome to the shows, of the packaging shows.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So my first question is, who are you? And just tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get to become a creative director over at Chobani? That's a great job, and I'm sure a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Wait. Is it Chobani or Chobani? How do you say it?
Oh, I say Chobani. Chobani. Okay. Yeah. I say Cho for short sometimes, but it's just internal.
Oh, if you're in the know, it's the Cho. I like it.
If you're in the know, it's the Cho. Yeah.
Hey, bars.
But yeah, so I'm a designer by trade, and I moved to New York City at 18. I went to Parsons, studied communication design, and I've just kind of been living and working in New York for that many years, and just kind of found my way into food and hospitality when I was the lead graphic designer at Danny Meyer's Union Square Hospitality Group. They started Shake Shack. They have many restaurants. So I really fell in love with food and bev there. And how brands come to life around food and how that can be really compelling for people to want to continue to invest in a brand. Made my way through Pentagram, worked at Aesop, and now I came over to Chobani to really work in-house and just breed the brand. And we have many, many platforms. So it really feels, fun every day because it's food and it's Chobani.
Is there anything that you learned at Aesop that you can apply to Chobani? Those are two so different brands.
That's very perceptive. Aesop is a pretty strict brand. There's not a lot of fun from a packaging perspective, but there are still, guidelines and creative decisions to be made within those more strict spaces. And there's certainly a lot of rigor that went into the decision making around them. Even though you can't make as many wild and wacky decisions in those spaces, you do have a lens to uncover beauty in ways that you might not realize in the beginning of a project. So you're really turning over a lot of stones, and you're really critically thinking about the holistic nature of the brand. And when I went over to Chobani, one of my final interviews, the interviewer asked me the same exact question, like, why do you want to be here when you're coming from a brand that, is pretty well established and has their foothold in an aesthetic. And I, was craving sort of, I wanted to unleash a little bit more creativity. I wanted to have a little bit more fun, bring a little bit more joy to the work. And I think Chobani really represents that in a lot of different ways, especially with Chobani Flip. It's really that like family friendly, fun, experiential food. You're actually like turning it over in your hand, which is it's just sweet. So wanting to make an impact in that way, I'd say I learned from how to restrict myself and how to really find and uncover the beauty at Aesop. And then at Chobani, still finding and uncovering that beauty at a very high level, but having a little bit more freedom to play.
IDP Direct, pioneering factory direct sustainable luxury, packaging, logistics, and design. They're not just manufacturers, they're your partners in eco-excellence. idpdirect.com. If finding your spec data is a wild goose chase around your office, you've got a data problem. SpecRite is the only cloud-based management specification solution that every brand needs. Because if you don't spec right, you'll spec wrong. Yeah, that makes sense. Right, we can add witches and goblins to packaging, where in Aesop it's like no.
Yeah.
How long have you been at Chobani, Lauren?
I've been there. I'll be there 4 years on 11/11.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I started a job once on 12/12, and so I always remember it was like 12/12/11, and so I was like, oh, my 1 year is on 12/12/12. It was very exciting.
You'll never forget it.
No, never will. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like recently Chobani had a bit of a brand refresh, or were you part of that as well?
So I wasn't a part of the internal rebrand, which was around 2016, 2017. I started in 2019. So I was at the tail end of that process. They had already rolled out a lot of like the critical pieces of the rebrand. But as I was coming in, it was that moment where they were growing the team and they were really saying, hey, we just made this thing. Let's continue to breathe life into this and see where it goes and have a bit of that open-ended possibilities. So it was an exciting time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was that the Collins refresh?
Yeah. Leland Matchmeyer from Collins came over to Chobani, and he was our chief creative officer for many years. And he led that initiative with other internal stakeholders. It was impactful. It really made for a canvas that allowed for an in-house agency to breathe new life into a brand in unexpected ways that I don't think any other brand is capable of doing at the moment.
So I recently posted on LinkedIn a post like showing two new redesigns of packaging for yogurt. And it's like the logo with like a big fruit and some text around it. Mm-hmm. And it was like a comparison of these two brands. And then somebody pointed out, they're like, yeah, this is exactly the Chobani one from, over the last couple of years. And then I go back to Chobani, I'm like, oh yeah, this was like the OG that changed the entire yogurt like section in having fruit, having a little bit of fun, and not going down the same path. So no, I'm looking at a picture of the shelf now, and it's like, it does feel fun. Mm-hmm. And that kind of leads us to where we're at today. And what are you guys doing today?
We're doing many, many things. We make Greek yogurt. I think that's what everyone knows us best for. We disrupted the shelf back in, 2007 when we sold our first cup of Greek yogurt. It tasted different. It felt different. It tasted better. It was made with better ingredients, and it brought Greek yogurt into the American grocery store for the first time in a big way. And ever since, that kind of innovative spirit has really permeated everything that we do. And we have this Greek yogurt foothold. We're still like a giant in that space, but we also explore, variations on Greek yogurt. Chobani Flip is one of them, and one of the more popular. And we have zero sugar, we have less sugar, we have complete protein drinks. So there's, we're really kind of spreading ourselves around modern food and exploring different ways that dairy and its byproducts, like, we make oat milk, and then we make other byproducts.
Do sour cream.
We don't do sour cream anymore. We've tried so many things. Chobani's like, again, we try things and sometimes they work, and sometimes they're, it might be the wrong time for that product, and there's no hard feelings. It's just like an iterative process. That's, the food innovation fuels the creative imagination. So the internal agency, the internal studio responds to that rapid pace of food innovation. And it allows us to have a lot of fun in what we can bring to life and what the story for each of these products can be.
You said food innovation fuels
creative imagination.
I love that. Creative imagination. Because as I'm looking at this, and I had to admit before that my purchase of the Chobani Flip that I have here was sadly the first time that I have actually purchased this. And, I have 57 children. And so
Not sad. That's great.
I feel like I'm going to purchase it.
He's only 21.
I feel like I'm going to be purchasing this more. I'm excited to dig into it. But, at the very beginning, you talked about like how you were excited, like how you see brands come to life through food. Mm-hmm. And I really, that thread seems to get pulled through across, all of your products. And this would be no different. So let's talk a little bit about this. Cause I see, there's a witch and there's a goblin, and I got one here with some spiders on it with, it's like obviously, it's Halloween themed and all this stuff. But the thing I thought was cool is I hadn't actually noticed this, is there's also a scan for a trick and a treat. So there's a whole bunch of places we can go with this particular design. And then I want to flip. I want to do my first flip.
You will never be the same.
I'm never going to be the same. No. But we could talk about, just kind of the fun and the creative branding around the outer sleeve, or we can talk about the QR code, wherever you want to start, Lauren.
Sure. Yeah. This was definitely one of the more rigorous projects that I've been able to be a part of at Chobani, and one that I'm most proud of, to be completely honest. It's really reignited, we're in this post-COVID world, and it's really reignited the creative spirit in our studio. And I think every person in the studio touched this in one capacity or another. We're a group of like around 40 people. So it's tremendous effort. But the brief really started from our founder. Everything, from our food to our packaging, Hamdi really has an influence on, and he was really inspired last year by the fashion, right? So every season there's a new fashion show, there's a new look. You don't wear the same sweater in spring that you did in the fall. You change your clothing. And so he was sort of thinking, what if packaging had that same, kind of spirit where you changed a little bit to celebrate something that's going on. And we worked backwards from that ask and from that insight around how can we surprise and delight at shelf? How can we change our packaging in a way that might compel a new buyer like yourself, Adam, to pick it up and say, oh, this is cute. Yeah, I love it. It's sweet. I want to play along. I want to interact with this brand. And fortunately, Chobani Flip, it's been out for a couple of years. We have this gorgeous natural packaging with, illustrations of ingredients that they're not photographic, like they have a soulfulness to them, and they're very playful. They're all falling through space. And if you've ever had a flip before, you take the sidecar and you actually dump it into the yogurt, you mix it up, and you kind of feel like a kid again, and you're able to play a little bit. And so it really spans the breadth of the playful adult to, the family with kids. And we wanted to capitalize on that idea that families are purchasing it for themselves, and they're also purchasing this for the kids. So Halloween kind of felt like that perfect cultural moment that was surprising, delightful, creative, spirited, fun. It was everything that Flip is. And we're like, okay, well, how do we brand block the shelf so that it creates this beautiful billboard that just screams Halloween in the Chobani way? Yeah. And we have like 7 overwrap SKUs. We have many, many individual SKUs of Flip, but when you want to buy those multi-packs, those four groups, we have like 7 different overwraps. So cookies and cream, s'mores, almond cocoa loco. And we thought to ourselves, all right, we want to celebrate Halloween, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't cover up the flavors. We want to make sure everyone knows what these flavors are. And so we kind of had this aha moment where, well, what if we themed every flavor? What if s'mores all of a sudden was ghost story s'mores, and almond cocoa loco was boneyard almond cocoa loco, and cookies and cream was Cookie Monsters and cream, and so on. I think you have the key lime pie. That's the witch's brew. So it's like thematic, and it makes you want to collect them all. There's sort of this designed idea that you might say, oh, I really like Ghosts, oh, and I really like Cookie Monsters, so let me get both, even though I would probably only buy one. So the incentive to drive basket bundling from a sales perspective was integrated into the creative execution of, just delightfulness, and bringing the color into the background was, really a strategic choice, because we're always that natural. And once you include that color, all of a sudden you're looking twice and you're wondering, what is that? But the style of these characters is not something that happened in a vacuum. We worked closely with an unbelievable illustrator named John McNair, whose style is very spooky. It's very underworldy. He's a gallery level artist, and we felt like he was the perfect collaborator for something like this because of his, his interest in that sort of spirit of Halloween. We didn't go to any one illustrator who could simply draw a skeleton. We were like, who makes their career out of drawing skeletons? So it was just, everything came from there. Yeah. And
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Because and Evelio is going to have a bunch of like designer nerd questions. So
I actually have a question that's not a designer nerd question.
Really?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm looking at this, and my brain works differently. It's a total mess up here. So tell me, there are 2 holes here on the bottom of this.
Oh yeah.
What I had never seen these on a sleeve before, and I'm just curious, what are these, like to grab it when it goes through the production line, or
ventilation?
Oh,
so when they're refrigerated on a truck, there's a certain allotment of space that needs to breathe between the products in transit that keeps their shelf life fresh.
Crazy.
Yeah, otherwise, you're getting into condensation and other issues. Yeah.
Correct.
It keeps the packaging super crisp.
That's cool.
But I wanted to ask you, you mentioned basket bundling. So I had a friend of mine ran an agency called Communal Creative over in New York. And one thing that they would talk about was when that consumer went shopping, like they wanted to put together what their basket would look like and see what this new product would look like in that basket, not just on the shelf. Which I always thought was kind of interesting. It's like, how does my product look when it's going across the conveyor at the grocery store? And does that feel like me? Mm-hmm. When you talk about basket bundling, what is that?
Oh, it's when you buy more than one product at a time. It's when you can't decide between your strawberry banana Greek yogurt drink and your 0 sugar cookies and cream. You should just have both.
I honestly was like, well, which one of these do I want to try? I'm like, I love key lime and I love cookies and cream. I'm going to try both of them. I basket bundled.
Nice.
I was like flow, and I bundled up and checked out. So
we love it.
Yeah, that's cool. But I never actually thought about that idea of how does it look when it's in it? Because there are eyes on it. Not only are there eyes on it at the store shelf, but when it's in the cart, when it's going across the conveyor, when somebody's looking at it, when a kid's looking at it and saying like, "Oh, what is that? I want that." When it's in the shelf at your house, and there's all sorts of ways.
It's all over. It's 360. So you always have to think, every single angle has to be compelling. It has to speak to the person, your son. Maybe they're walking through the store aisle, and if they see it, it's probably going to be interesting to them, and they'd be like, "Can I have that?"
I love it. So I wanted to. I'm sorry, Evelio, you have a question.
No, I was just going to ask. So this is a limited edition because it's seasonal. Mm-hmm. So what's the 2 questions? One, what's the benefit to a brand to do limited edition? I'll let you answer that one because I have a follow up here. I think on Hamdi.
Limited edition packaging is like limited edition food. You can only have it for a short period of time. It's your pumpkin spice latte in September, period. And it's something that you only want during that time. You're really driven to do something a little bit differently, lean into the season, and just, live your life and live it to the fullest. And I think limited edition packaging it lends itself to that. So like luxury handbags, we'll do collaborations with artists, and they'll take a heritage pattern and they'll collaborate with an artist to just put some stuff right over it, and it's all of a sudden interesting again. Like you're looking twice. It's that thing you recognize, but something's different about it. And you want to kind of dig a little deeper, and there's something in you that wants you to collect it because you can't get it again. It's kind of special.
So it drives sales.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. But is there a point where there's too many limited editions? So do you have one coming up for Christmas?
You're right on the money. There is a thing as too many limited editions. We have limited batch flavors that are rotational around the year. So there's always specialness across all of our product portfolio or all of our product platforms. But in terms of switching the packaging, that is reserved for very special moments. So for one platform to switch itself twice in a year, in my opinion, is stretching it, because it needs to live on the shelf long enough to be normal, right? So that when it is switched, it's special.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that last year, Hamdi felt like we wanted to do something special. So Hamdi being the founder of Chobani, he's the guy that changed the face of yogurt forever. Mm-hmm. How involved is he in the design?
Very. Yeah. He, he trusts us as the experts in our fields to bring, some interesting ideas that are appropriate for the brand, that speak to families. And surprising and delighting was the brief. It didn't have anything to do with sales at the time. We backed into that. Fortunately, we had a wonderful idea that connected seamlessly with the business. That's also our jobs. But from Hamdi's perspective, it really was about bringing joy to the dairy aisle, where usually in this time of year, you have the brand, like the Kit Kats and the Reese's and the center store moments where people are activating and having fun for Halloween. But Chobani's just as fun, and it's actually healthier. So it's an interesting moment to position ourselves as, a family-friendly, celebratory product. So we did that also through the AR experience, which is a scannable QR code on the left-hand side of the front pack, and then on the right-hand side of the top of pack, where you can scan and actually go trick-or-treating and knock on these doors that pop up on your phone and in your space. Yeah. And treats.
I wanted to see, I haven't actually done this yet. So let's see.
Turn your sound on. The music's great.
Okay. Allow. Turn your sound on. Got it. Okay. Whoa.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay. So we've got, I'm going to try to do this that way.
It's tough because once you anchor your doors in a position, you kind of have to.
Okay. Placement. Got it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Lift off. Knock, knock.
Door shuffling. Knock on the door that has the treat.
Oh, you got it. Perfect.
Do I?
Yeah. You have to do it in 60 seconds, and you have to collect it.
Oh, I'm playing a game.
Yeah. The doors will shuffle faster and faster.
Treat. I got it. Okay. I got one treat. Oh, my sound isn't on. Shoot. Can you hear the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this is really cool.
That's so much fun.
I love it. I got another treat
from the pack. They're all
I got a treat. Okay. That's
so are they different games per pack then?
It's a universal game. So no matter which pack you scan, it's the same game. And when you knock on the door, you're either going to get a trick or a treat. And if it's a trick, it's going to be one of the characters from one of the 7 SKUs doing something kind of silly, jumping out at you, or a skeleton falling to the ground. But when you find the treat, you will get a flip and obviously the food that comes with it. So if it's like the cookie mashes, and then you try to collect as many treats as you can. So it's really fun.
That's awesome.
If you don't mind, I'm going to do this cookies and cream thing. So I've actually never done I haven't done the flip yet.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. So I take this part right here, right? Is there a little, and I just flip it in there like that?
Perfect.
Okay. And
Nailed it.
Or if you're my 10-year-old, she just like flips it into her mouth and then leaves a mess all over the place.
Everyone has different ways. You know, if you want to like use your spoon and like scoop it in side by side, like everyone has their journey, but you do it the exact same way I do.
Okay. And there's a little score on the cup so that it helps it, but it doesn't crack. I was waiting for it to like crack. Snap and tear off.
Our engineers are very good.
Packaging engineers to the rescue.
Hey,
not my job. I appreciate them.
No, but the crazy part here is like, there's been other yogurts that have tried to do like keep. I don't know, it's like the McDLT of yogurt, right? It's like keep the hot side hot and the cool side cold. This is like keep the crunchy stuff crunchy. And like I've seen other people do it, and it's like you put it in the lid, and it's like so many steps to do it. Like this is just like one peel, one flip, and it's nice, and it gives you the option, like you said. Like I don't know, like I personally like to dip, get my spoon of yogurt and then kind of just dip it in there. It's like a coating. It's like a Dairy Queen sprinkle effect, and then just go, Yeah, but that's so funny. Like I didn't really think people ever had their own journey, but you're right. That's the way that works.
I can tell you, 7 of these cups will be gone by the end of the day today.
They're very good.
In my house, these things will be eaten up quickly.
Yeah, you're not going to let your kids know you got those. You're just going to eat them all by yourself.
Yeah, obviously. I'm going to hide it in my office. Are you kidding me?
There's something for everyone.
Where does your team find inspiration for design?
That's a really good question. I was just asked that last week at a One Club seminar that I spoke at, and finding inspiration is, it's an active pursuit where, we're all looking in different places, right? Our algorithms on our phones and on our browsing websites are all different. And that's why we all bring something different to the table. But I think there's a point of view that a lot of the designers that we hire have, which is just this like deep respect for craft. So painting, illustration, ceramics, there's a beauty in some of those like elemental art forms that we always try to bring through in the Chobani way. Not that we're making ceramics and handing them out, but there's an appreciation for some of the like gallery level like painters and illustrators that you can find on the pages of the New York Times or the New Yorker, or in editorial design is like a really big point of inspiration at Chobani. We're always storytelling. We're always trying to express ourselves in ways that, especially on packaging, like we have a very finite space to work with, and you can really think about those creative challenges as editorial briefs. We're trying to communicate a piece of information in a really small space quickly and effectively. We got to get the news out, and the news is yogurt. So we work hard, and we take a lot of our inspiration from editorial for sure.
I'll be curious, by the way, speaking of inspiration, I was just looking at the John McNair, the illustrator you're talking about, on his website, and I'm like, I wonder how many people will make that connection and actually try to like keep the packaging, right? Because it's this well-known illustrator, and obviously you have to tear one of the edges, but I could see people getting super jazzed about just the art on there and saying like, yeah, I have them all. And
that would be incredible. I mean, I did it myself. When I went and bought my almond cocoa logo, I kept it. I was like, I love an archive, and we love swag, right? Like this pack didn't just show up on the shelf. We crafted a beautiful campaign with many partners to bring together a Tim Burton inspired stop motion film with a production company called Hornet. We were able to produce swag, and we're going to throw a Halloween party at the cafe in Soho on Halloween, giving out flips to trick-or-treaters. And I totally agree. Like we could have made like limited edition posters where people could, John would sign it and give those away. I think if there's an appreciation for the work, I think next year we would certainly build that in. It's a great idea.
It would be really cool. This is, I won't even charge you for this. But I've always thought, because I've been on so many press checks, like I've worked in on the printing side, especially in like labels and folding cartons and shrink sleeves and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I think that especially with like sheets of paperboard, the make ready like the stack of make ready that just ends up getting recycled is actually this like treasure trove of unexpected random beauty that you could grab some of those sheets even when you know the printer is running these things up, and because you get all the weird hues and the the plates are kind of off a little bit, and I think something like that could actually be some pretty cool art. So
I totally agree. Like there's beauty in mistakes, and this if you're like once you're folding in like this 4-color work, like any registration that's off can actually be like kind of impressive, and you're like, ooh, maybe we go for more of like a haunted house strobe light theme next year. It can really unlock some interesting thought.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, Evelio, do you have any other questions, or should we?
I've got one question. So for a brand that's out there that's not as big as Chobani, right? Somebody that's listening that's trying to apply some of what they're hearing here into their own brand. How does a brand like Chobani touch so many different people, right? In terms of your package design, one, you've got the more serious, more adult level product, and then you've got this that's so much more fun, but the tone of voice doesn't get lost when you're trying to reach all these different people. I see a lot of people out there doing it and it doesn't work out really well, but with Chobani, you're like, yeah, it's still fun as an adult. So how can somebody apply this to their brand through packaging?
That's a good question. I guess the way that I organize all of these platforms in my mind, because I'm the creative director of the packaging. So we have all of the all the different platforms, and they do reach all of these different people and different consumers, which is very important from a business perspective. We want to make sure that the people who are purchasing the high protein complete drink, they're going to be working out, they're going to be, health conscious, they're reading labels. We want to make sure we're speaking to them appropriately. But because Chobani is a house of products and not necessarily a house of brands, we are able to ladder everything up to, our brand ethos and like our purpose. There's a reason why we make all of this food. It comes from the same heartbeat, so we try to infuse that through everything that we do. And I'd like to think that that's where the trust comes in. So if you trust your smaller cup of yogurt, that it's going to be delicious and good for you, but all of a sudden, maybe you have, dietary restrictions at a certain point in your life and you need to switch to 0 sugar, you already trust us to make that leap. Or you can recommend that to your friend who is, needing something like that in their life. But yeah, I'd say that we're very targeted with, how we speak to different consumers, because everyone is different. Everyone needs something different. But the purpose behind everything that we do is the same. So the trust, I would imagine, it comes through in that way.
I've always said that packaging does a great job of conveying trust. So one time I saw there was a wine bottle at my mother-in-law's house and the label had been taken off. And she's like, I don't want to open this. And I said, why? She's like, because I don't know what it is.
Right.
And I'm like, this one little label that somebody had removed at some point. I mean, obviously she could open it and pour it and then taste it, but to her, there's so like, imagine if this didn't have this lidding film on it and it was just blank, and somebody handed this to your kid, and at their house, and you're like, what are you eating? It's like, I don't know. I mean, there is a big part of trust, I think, that packaging inherently conveys. From beyond, I mean, obviously the brand has to have its own integrity and trust there, but packaging inherently has to be trustworthy, right? There's barrier properties. There's little die cuts out of the bottom to make sure that it's showing up, without the condensation. So, I think that's cool. That's a great point. Well, Lauren, this has been incredible. We're at 30 plus minutes, which is amazing. Feel like we could probably talk for another 30. But I want to encourage everybody to go out. This limited edition packaging is out there today. You got, what did you say, four flavors, right? Key lime crumble. 7. You said 7. Okay. 7. You said 7. Okay. So
a coven of 7. Yeah.
Coven of 7. Perfect. Well, I have 2 7ths, which is approximately less than 50%.
There's work to do.
that I currently have. So I need to go collect them all. It is available nationwide, I'm sure. So everyone go out, get them, introduce your children to them, but also they're delicious for adults, as I can just now attest. I can't even attest for my kids. They may never know. They may not know how delicious these are.
These are perfect to hand out for Halloween also.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really
okay.
fun.
Don't hand these out for Halloween. I was just kidding.
We could. We will.
Evelio, thanks for joining Evelio and asking the design questions that I had no idea about. And everyone go check out Packaging Unboxed as well. It's a tremendous podcast. And while you're at it, just give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you made it to this point, then we're super excited that you did. And you may as well go do the easy thing and help us out. So Lauren, appreciate it. Your whole team for putting this together. This is super fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It was great to meet you.